10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Through Black and White Eyes. Sorry for the cancellation last night. Unfortunately, I had the worst back spasm I have ever had in my entire life for 4 hours. And now I'm all drugged up and I'm ready to go. That's probably the best way to say it. It was terrible. Right. Let's get the comments in as we always do, and then we'll get the guests in. Our guest, Gary's late, as always. Evening all, welcome to Through Black and White Eyes review of the transfer news. Please like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. It's free. Join from just 99p. Donate using the super chat, or get yourself a raffle ticket for an amazing prize draw. Super chat in the bottom right-hand corner always helps and it gets donated to charity. Please adhere to standard community guidelines, keep comments respectful, and of course, enjoy the show. Dan, who's on the show, says evening all. Evening, Dan. Hope you're well. Leslie. Evening, Gary. Great to see you. And then they're all talking to each other, which we all love. Emily, happy Friday. Definitely. Hello. And even Daniel. How are you doing, Daniel? It's great to see you. Right. Evening, Dan.
First things first.
Yes.
No coughing. Ah, shit! I jinxed it.
Still coughing, mate. Still coughing. It's not as bad.
No, it sounded much better, mate. You're all good.
It's still there, unfortunately.
But how's the back?
The coughing caused the spasm.
Yep.
And for 4 hours yesterday, I thought I was going to die.
Yep. Yep.
Or I said to myself, just put me down because I can't take this anymore. So yeah,
there was a time where I thought I was passing a gallstone or something like that.
Ooh.
So at 3 o'clock in the morning, I had my mother-in-law take me to the emergency room. I can't remember where Tara was at the time, but my mother-in-law came over and fetched me and took me to A&E, and walked in. It turns out wasn't passing a kidney stone, gallstone, or anything. I had torn an intercostal muscle between my rib cage in my ribs due to coughing. I had a bit of a flu or something like that, and I was just coughing up a storm. So no, I know exactly what your back spasm felt like. Sorry to hear it, mate, but I hear meds are on board, and now all things are looking rosier.
Yep.
So
just had a massage as well. Had a massage. Had my suction cups on. It'll all calm down. But I did have to ring 111, which is almost 999.
Yep.
And then an hour later, I rang 999 because I thought I was going to pass out. It was that bad. But yeah, it's a spasm. It's one of those things. I just never experienced anything like it in my life.
I just see you with a smile on your face, and that makes me feel better. So good deal.
It's been a fun day today. Right, Gaz can't find the link, even though it's literally in the chat that I sent to him.
Look at WhatsApp.
Well, I've even done it on Twitter for him because he prefers Twitter, and I don't know why he can't see it.
And it's Friday night, so Helen's out, and Liam's out, and JC's out.
JC's on date night.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Date night. Yeah. I remember all these things.
Mm-hmm.
It's very rare, but I do remember them. Anyway, while we're waiting for Gaz, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Do you like it or not?
So I'm 50-50 on it for a couple of reasons. One, the stripes on the long sleeve are poxy. I realize that you can't have the stripes and have the advertising and the Champions League badges and all that stuff because they won't stick well to the stripes and all that. Okay, then just don't bother with them. If you look at the sleeve detail up close, you'll see a seam right where the long stripes start. So it looks like the sleeves have been tacked on, and it looks bad. It just looks bad. That's the first thing I noticed. Second thing, while I appreciate the homage to the what 90 97 98 away kit with the green and the orange and all that stuff, I was kind of hoping for more of that, given the 95 96 away kit we had last season with the
Mhm.
with the maroon and blue. So if we were going to continue on with that tradition, I was hoping kind of for more. I guess the big homage we got is the black shield with the crest on it. I
Yeah, a lot of people
appreciate.
don't like that.
I don't mind it, but if you recall, that badge was on top of that dark green and bright orange vertical stripe on that side of the kit on that one. So
Mm.
I truly appreciate the old Adidas trefoil logo for
Mm.
on the opposite chest. Do I like it? Yes. Am I running out to buy it when on the day it's released? No.
No.
It's I mean it's the third kit. And our
Yeah.
third kit last year was the white one with the 80s NUFC round crest and the Adidas trefoil and the little magpie up on the reverse on the back of the collar. Um, that was my least favorite of last year. So and there's every chance that our away kit this year is going to be some green thing. So
I don't mind the green thing.
I don't either. If it's done well, I think the first Sella kit, the last one by Castor was not bad for a green kit. I don't mind it. I'm not. I don't see it flying off the shelf, and I don't see queuing up for it like we did for the for the
Mm.
for the home kit. So it's not bad. I won't be purchasing a long sleeve kit. I'll tell you that because that looks horrible.
Oh no.
So yep.
Gaz has
You
made it. How we doing, Gaz?
I'm fine. I just didn't want us to come in.
Yeah, it was weird that.
That was strange.
What do you make of the new kit?
I didn't like it.
I love it.
well, that was
It's not as
that was
bad as the
efficient.
green. It's not as bad as the green one. That's bloody awful. Just my opinion. But
I like the green one,
um,
the archer stripes for the time
didn't,
bridge.
but I didn't like them. Do you know what it is? I think this is the first time I'll go out and buy the goalkeeper top above everything else.
Oh wow.
Hmm?
I like this one personally.
You know the
It's grown
badge.
on me. It's grown on me.
You know the badge.
Mhm.
I wasn't a fan of the one years ago, the stripe down with that badge. I didn't like that one. That one. I wasn't keen on that one.
I love that one.
See, I didn't like it. And I
Here's the
like blue.
Mm.
My wife Jade, she likes blue as well, but even she doesn't like this. And the little one's interested because he likes orange, but the older lad doesn't want it either. It hasn't really went with us at all. I think the home top's the best one out of the three, personally.
Yeah, the home top needs to buy
But
that.
I don't know. I'm not. I liked the white top last year with the green on. I did like that one. But this green one, I'm not a fan of green strips. I just can't get away with them. I never have done, especially dark green like that. It's not my cup
Well,
of tea.
and
I
it
won't
just
be buying any.
and when you get the criticism that we do because of who our owners are,
Yeah.
just consistently pushing that in people's faces is just kind of
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
kind of like to them all, isn't it, really? That's why they do it.
I just think it looks rushed. I think they both do.
if you're gonna have an homage to that, if you recall, and I know you can't see it, you see the hippocampus sublimated in the background.
Yeah.
Well, then do that, but you don't have that. You don't have that on this. It looks pinstriped, is what it
Yeah.
looked like when you. But then again, we haven't seen the up close details. We've seen these leaked
Yeah.
photos.
Yeah,
We've
exactly.
now seen what appears to be the culmination of the Sam Fender,
Oh,
appearance at the Tyneside Irish Centre while we were there back
mm,
in May. It looks like he's going to be in this away kit launch
mm,
advert that comes out on Monday.
yeah.
And then the kit goes on sale on Tuesday. So
Mm,
we'll have to see, but Gaz, I'm with you. I don't mind it. It's not my favorite, and I personally don't see it flying off shelves either. But
mm,
again, for our first away long sleeve option, it's terrible.
Yeah.
That long sleeve business with the stripes starting at the elbow just doesn't look right. It
yeah.
just doesn't look right
I'm,
at all.
I get what
I'm,
you
I'm just not a fan of the orange. It's the orange for me. I mean,
I
one of my
like the orange.
one of my favorite tops. I mean, probably my favorite top of all time was the blue '93 one. That
Yeah,
was my
Yes.
all-time favorite, and
yeah.
I'm a big
Smart
fan of
play.
blue. I do. I thought last year's tops were superb. The
Yeah.
three of them, I loved them. But I think these are really underwhelming.
Mm.
It's my personal
Well,
opinion. Like, I like the goalkeeper top. I think that's lovely. But I'm not. I'll
I
not be
want to.
rushing to get
I
these.
want to see it close up before I make a full decision on it. To be fair,
Yeah.
as do I, but I won't be paying full price for it. I'll be
no,
waiting for it to go on
on sale
in the bin at the end of the season.
I'm
nothing
not
wrong
even
with
sure I'll bother.
that.
I don't know. I just, you know what it is? I've got all these strips in the cupboard and just didn't like it. It just
Yeah, yeah.
didn't appeal to me at all. But it happens. You're not going to like every top every year. I
No,
mean,
no,
it's not going to
no.
happen.
And
Um,
sometimes you get to save money, so that's good.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Well, this
Uh,
year will definitely be because now. So, but
I love
But
it.
anyway,
but if it's good, but if it's going to affect who we can and can't buy in this transfer window, well, then by God, we all better go
Yeah,
out and get one.
yeah. That's,
well, the
if the
way they're
UK
at, we're
man
going to
said
need
that,
5 each.
Exactly.
I love it. Right, before we get onto transfer business, I just want to obviously let everyone know about a little bit of news on the channel. Yin's had to take a bit of a step back, so he's not a co-owner anymore, which is such a shame. But he's going on to bigger and better things. He's coaching kids. He's doing something he loves, and we wish him all the best on that. The door's still open, so he will come on shows when he's available.
Yep.
It's just he can't commit himself, every week because obviously coaching the kids at the new camp, they call it. It's it's amazing what he's doing, and I'm really pleased for him because I think he'll be excellent at it. So we wish him all the best, but we will see him soon.
Yep.
We're going to the game with him against Atletico Madrid, so we'll see him then anyway.
Yep.
But we've got other things that will come off it. There's one door closes, another door opens. That's the best way to describe it. And I've got someone in mind. I'll speak to you after the show, Dan, about it.
Okay.
Transfer news. So, if you believe the Chronicle came out with this, I think it was a couple of days ago. Newcastle hold emergency transfer summit as internal concerns grow over the window. Do you believe the Chronicle? Because I don't.
No, full of shit.
Clickbait.
Absolutely. I wouldn't even wipe my arse with it.
Then
Sorry.
you get news. Then you get newsprint in your crack, and you don't want that. So no.
Exactly.
It used to be the go-to thing in the 90s, but it's absolute dog shit now. Sorry, pardon me. It is. It's. I wouldn't even. You're right. I wouldn't even wipe my arse with it. Load of crap, clickbait rubbish. That's all it is.
Yeah. So going on to the good stuff, if you can call it the good stuff, if there is any good stuff in this window,
We can't make him. We can't make him laugh, Gas. We got to make sure he doesn't laugh because then he coughs. So let's be sourpusses.
Well, to be fair, before we get to the good stuff, let's get to the ridiculous first of all, because this made me laugh when I saw this. Now, purely football on Twitter, hundreds of thousand followers or whatever it is, breaking. Manchester United enter race to sign Alexander Isak.
I can't even. I can't even smile at them.
It's
I
funny,
just
isn't it? But
everybody thinks that they have
468,000 views that tweet got. 2.3 thousand likes. Who's liking
who
that?
who, who who did they just sign?
I don't know.
They're struggling to get Mbeumo done. Never mind Isak.
Right. Yeah.
They are struggling to get Mbeumo over the line, aren't they?
You know what it is? It's only been a month since the end of the season. I have never seen so much crap written right now than this.
Yep.
It's
Agreed.
utter nonsense.
It's gotten so bad, hasn't it? Because
it's shocking. Do you know what it is? I'll tell you what I have realised, mind. I've realised it the last month. These clubs are paying these people to print these articles. Newcastle are clearly not paying anybody to print positive articles about them because there's nothing positive at all. Whereas Man United have always got positivity. Liverpool have always got positivity. Arsenal, they've saved. So in Manchester United enter the race. There's no fucking race.
No, exactly. Yeah. Ornstein, is that how you pronounce his name? He came
Ornstein,
out.
David Ornstein.
Yeah, he came out and said Isak is going nowhere. Since Newcastle got Champions League football, Isak will not leave unless it's. We put a price of 200 million on him, which is a stupid amount of money, and no one's going to offer it. So Isak is going absolutely nowhere unless someone's willing to pay an absolutely ridiculous amount. So all these Liverpool fans have been doing my head at the worst than Arsenal fans.
Do you know what amazes me, right? Is how do they actually know who our owner is? Or do they still think Mike Ashley owns this football club? Because the worst one I heard by a country mile was, I can see this being a deadline day deal. Oh yeah, Newcastle are going to sell the only striker at deadline day going into a Champions League season. You absolute idiots.
Yeah, I think you jumped on that after I jumped on it.
Yeah. And it was like, and I looked at it, I went, what is this shit? And you know what it is? If Isak would, I keep hearing, they're not denying out. Well, they denied it 4 weeks ago. Ornstein said it's not happening, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
And I'm telling you now, if Isak was going to leave Newcastle, he would have went by now because the club will want to find replacements and spend the money. So it's nonsense.
Yeah.
I tell you what, will Isak spend his whole career? Yeah, probably not. Will he go next season?
Maybe.
Depends if he signs a contract for me, right? But he's not going anywhere.
If he signs a contract, I still think he goes next summer, to be honest with you.
Possibly, but he's not done this
mega bucks, and I reckon you'll have a out clause in his release clause in that new contract, and it'll be 120 million or something silly like that. So the way
to be honest, sorry, I mean, look, I can't vouch for this, and you take everything with like pinch of salt. But apparently, after the cup final, Isak told fans at that event, numerous fans, ignore all the rumours you hear. I'm not going anywhere.
There you go.
And that come from Isak's mouth. And at the end of the season, he was at the side of the pitch waiting for the result. And people were saying, like, you could hear him going, have we qualified, like that. Literally, like, itching to get back in. He said he can't wait to get back in the Champions League, but no, he wants to go everywhere.
Yeah,
exactly. You know, it's a good job he's not on social media. He said he keeps away from it because he can't be
good. Good.
So good for him, honestly.
I put a tweet out and someone put on the back of it straight away and said, "No, we'll do it the right way." And I just didn't enter a conversation because I couldn't be bothered. But
what the right way?
I tweeted, we should start looking at these loopholes now and start taking advantage of them.
100%.
Exactly. But this guy says, no, we're going to do it the right way. Finding loopholes is still doing it the right way because you're not breaking any rules. You're actually sticking with the rules. You just found the ways around certain rules that don't work in our favor. So for us to hold on to Isak next summer, we have to potentially sell the women's team to push that PSR boundary much, much further away. We have to look at maybe the land behind the Gallagher end and sell it to something and buy it back at a different price and all this sort of stuff. There are loopholes there we can take advantage of, and we have to do that. Because if we don't go out and spend 300 million next summer, Isak will go. You know,
I'm telling you now.
The only way we're going to keep him.
I'm telling you now, Mike Ashley would have done it. And he
100%.
wouldn't have done it. He wouldn't have done it to buy players. He would have done it to put it in his own pocket. And I guarantee he would have sold some land or sold the women's team or something by now.
He sold the land behind the Gallagher, didn't he? Strawberry Place or whatever you want to call it. I can't remember the name of it, but he sold it to himself and then pocketed the money. And the only thing with Mike Ashley, everyone says Mike Ashley would have sold Isak. The thing is, Mike Ashley wouldn't have bought Isak because he cost too much.
100%. I mean, he, like I said, would Isak be a Liverpool player right now if Ashley was in charge? Oh, of course he would. Yeah. But he's not.
Exactly.
Our owner, look, regardless of what you think at the minute, our owner, if he says Isak's not for sale, he's not for sale. That's simple.
Yep.
He's actually his favourite player.
Yep.
You're talking about a bloke here who got his live golf into the PGA.
Exactly.
It's not happening. Honestly, it's not. And if it does, you're talking record-breaking money here. Simple as that.
I mean, I know we had this conversation last time, Gary. It was on a different show, but I think it's very important to bring it up now before we start talking about all the rest of the rumours. What is going on behind the scenes at Newcastle? Now, there's a lot of noise saying that ever since Amanda's left and Merdad has left, the connection between the owner signing off on bids and getting things through is slowed down so much. And this is the reason why Mitchell's leaving. It's because of the chain of command is not doing things fast enough. And then when we finally put our first bid in, which is going to get knocked back, the second bid, instead of being almost instant, it's having to go through all the channels again to come all the way back down again. And this is why everyone's getting frustrated.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be quick on this one, let Dan take over because I'm upset about it. But I think, look, Paul Mitchell wasn't a saint. That's blatantly obvious. He had his problems, but I think there's more to why Paul Mitchell left, and I think he wanted to act quicker than what the club are doing. I think Mitchell wanted to go abroad to get better deals than what they're trying to do right now. It's no coincidence to me now that the three players they've put so-called bids in for are all in the Premier League. I don't think Mitchell would have authorised all three of them. He would have wanted to go elsewhere. I mean, you're talking about Xabi Simons maybe for 60 million, which is the same price Forest won for Elanga. I know who I'd rather have. So it's like, I think this is the type of thing Mitchell would have done. Look, he had his problems, there's certainly that, I have no doubt, but I'm not overly happy with what's going on behind the scenes at the minute. I think it's a bit of a farce. I think the players and the manager are keeping this club afloat at the minute from the fans, just completely going off it at times because they've sort of like shadowed what's happening because for 2 years now we've done sod all in the window. There's no sponsorship deals coming in from Silverstone whatsoever. Like I said the other day, Noon and Salah were a doddle to do. They were already done. Piff done them. Adidas was a doddle because Adidas knew what they were getting. Easy deal. They got Monster Energy in, lasted 5 minutes and changed it to Red Bull. And they've got Phoenix sponsoring them who probably pay for Mark Gillespie's wages. So it's like, I just think it's a bit of a mess. But I've been ranting about it forever, so I'll let Dan take over.
I've said this multiple times since Amanda and Merdad left. We've lost the goodwill that was built immediately after the takeover. I said after Mitchell, it was announced that Mitchell was leaving. I said on Twitter, I think, or Instagram, I can't remember, but I said, "Can Amanda and Merdad come back now?" And I got a reply saying they didn't know how to run a football club. Well, they at least talked to people about what we were trying to do.
Exactly.
We haven't heard from Darren Eales now in 4 months. All we know is he's leaving. And we all wished him well at the time. You know, this has been the longest goodbye we've ever seen in club history. You know, Mitchell's gone. We heard he was forced out. Now we hear he's left. Now he's here. Yeah. Well, he'll be gone on Monday.
He's contracted
He'll be gone on Monday,
isn't he? Yeah, pretty
he'll be
much.
gone on Monday. So
next week,
you know,
next week. Everything's next week.
Right. I just you know, and again, having what you know, we had Stefan on the show, you know, last week. You know, he explained that, you know, June 30th is the end of the fiscal year, which then means July 1st we start a new year, which means that last year of PSR that we were worried about drops off. What we're starting with 23, 24 now, right?
Yeah.
23, 24, 24, 25. So we're back to our season back in the Champions League.
This is our first window without a Mike Ashley involved.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. So, you know, I just thought that Amanda and Merdad left under a cloud because it came at the same time that Mitchell was coming in, you know, and it was sold that Mitchell was going to be our savior. Look at all the good work he's done overseas. Look at, you know, this, that, and the other. And quite frankly, I haven't seen any of it. But to your point, Gaz, it's because I think since Merdad and we saw the we saw all the communications, and you never know whether or not it was, you know, pumped up for TV or whatever during the Amazon documentary. You know, all the discussion about whether or not they were going to buy Anthony Gordon. You know, all this, that, and the other. You know, you saw that there was a lot of discussion about, you know, and maybe it was played up for TV. You know, at the same time, you're sitting there going, okay, but if that's the kind of communication that was going on about what players are, okay, there's a certain amount of emotion that you have to have on your sleeve. And Amanda and Merdad showed no doubt in their minds that their hearts were on their sleeves. They wanted to see this club improve. That's what sold them on getting the takeover done. Yeah. Was they came to that Liverpool match expecting to go buy Liverpool.
Yeah.
They left that match going, no, this is the club that we need to take over. You know, so I would love to have them back. I'd love to hear more from Jamie Rubin.
He's another one who's just very quiet now. He's not the same as what he used to be when Amanda was in charge.
If Paul Mitchell is more interested in going overseas and getting inexpensive buys that we can then turn around and sell off. So if he's going over there trying to get a 15 million, 20 million player that we could have for a couple of seasons and sell for 100 million, well, I was all for that as well, because we're going to have to sell players in order to
balance, don't you?
Yep. I mean, Bruno's not getting any younger. He's going to be 30 this season.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, at the same time, we saw Bruno drop off in performances, and then all of his,
Is he not 28?
He just turned 29 at the tail end of last season.
I need to check that. I'm going to check it. He could be that old, to be fair, because we've had him a while now. When you think about it,
27.
No.
Oh yeah, he is 27. 28 in November.
28 in November.
Yeah. Okay. He's got plenty of time. Anyway, you mentioned something which he said that Amanda didn't know how to run a football club.
Well, that's what somebody said. That's what somebody said. I disagree.
No, yeah, exactly. You do, but you mentioned it, and then you mentioned the reason why I think it's a load of bollocks is because if you look at the way that they conducted themselves in the transfer of Anthony Gordon, the way that they talked on the phone, and the way they were trying to bring the fee down or trying to call their bluff, they knew what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't that stupid. The problem that we had is they thought the here and now and didn't think about the next window. I think that's what the issue was. Yep. But we liked that, because we were crying out when we were challenging for Champions League spot. We need another player in January, and we didn't get it, and we limped over the line. We've done that again this year. We've limped over the line because we haven't refreshed the squad. And now, if Amanda and Merdad were still here, we would have, but we would have been facing consequences down the line. We would have had to sell someone again. So I'll ask you both this: would you prefer that way of thinking? Or do you prefer the let's not do any deals for free windows and then have a big window if we're going to have one? which way would you prefer it?
Okay, but I'll caveat that one step further. After 14 years
Yeah.
of doing fuck all, I want something done. And what we saw with Amanda and Merdad was they were willing to do something.
Yes.
I understand completely the criticality of being prudent and being cognizant of where you've got to start looking big picture rather than just what's in front of you and
Yeah.
looking for the quick return and getting players of the quality of Bruno and then Botman and then Isak then Tonali. We've been slowly building further and further and further. I agree. Their due diligence is needed, but at the same time, you can't do it in a vacuum. You got to give the public something to be excited about.
Yeah.
You've got to talk to them and say, look, this is what we're working on. At the same time, look at how the Tadali deal got done. Look at how the Isak deal got done. There were other targets supposedly that we were interested in, and all of a sudden, look at who we got instead. So I'm not terribly annoyed that we haven't heard a lot about who we're going after next. If Mitchell wanted to go and get cheaper players abroad and Eddie wants Premier League proven players, Eddie's track record so far has been he can do pretty much anything with any caliber player.
Yeah.
Other than say an Isaac Hayden, and it's time for you to move on, bud. Or Jamal Lewis, it's time for you to move on, bud.
We know why Hazek got moved on is because he was the mole, wasn't he? That was the main reason.
Yeah.
Right.
So I want there to be Tuesday morning, guys. Tuesday morning, I'm hoping that we'll start seeing a slew of activity. I just hope that on July 1st, all the stuff that's been building up now, supposedly from the past 3 weeks, where next week, I'm hoping that next week actually proves to be fulfilling for us.
It will be. Well, let's talk about that. So Brighton are holding out, and I don't blame them for this. And people will say he's not worth it. I think he is. But apparently we put a £50 million bid in. It got rejected. Now, Pedro wants to move. Newcastle want to buy him. But so did Chelsea potentially in the background. Now, the information we've had, and it's common knowledge, is to be fair, is that the deal is actually quite close for us with Pedro. But again, the player's happy. He wants to come. He's agreed the terms of the contract and stuff like that, and the money. The problem,
if you believe what you've read.
If you believe what you've read. But the problem we've got is the negotiation between the two clubs. Now, 50 million is a good chunk of money. And I don't think he's worth much more than maybe 55, pushing 60. So do we get this deal done by offering them more, or are we going to be doing it in chunks? How do you think it's going to happen, Gary? What else have you been reading? Because all I keep reading is the deal's close, the deal's close, the deal's close.
Look, if they want to shop in the Prem, they're going to have to pay.
Yeah.
That's what they've chose to do. It's not what I would personally. I would get a couple of players from the Prem, but that's it. I would shop abroad. 60 million. Yeah, he's worth it because Prem market's inflated, and I've seen 70 for Semenyo. So sorry though.
And we're Brighton's not going to want to sell to a rival if they're not going to get what they believe they deserve.
Exactly. It's the same with our players. We're not going to sell Gordon for 60 million because that's what Liverpool are going to offer. We're going to want to take what we feel we deserve, and other clubs are going to do that to us. But I think Pedro, Gary, changes our system. I think he's a brilliant player. I think he's getting hammered on Twitter sometimes because of his stats, because he's scored so many penalties and all this sort of stuff. It's like that's people looking at stats and not watching him play football. He is a cracking football player.
It amazes me how some people deem like some players not good enough, because João Pedro is he's quality.
Yeah.
And I think out of all the three we've been linked with, push Trafford out the way. It's just goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I would pick him over Alanga every time, every day of the week. And I think he's got about 10 goals, 7 assists this season in 27 games. He wouldn't have started every game either. But
No,
we are trying to do...
He was sent off a couple of times, wasn't he? That's one of the things that some people are worried about is his aggression and his
disciplinary record.
Yeah. We've got one on the left.
Yeah.
So
and the possibility of two and the possibility of two in the middle. You know,
exactly.
We've got the two Brazilians who can't seem to. They like to rough and tumble. You know, they like to collect yellows.
Yeah.
We need, right? Alanga is a counter specialist. We've got that. We've got a couple of them.
Yeah.
We need somebody who can beat Fulham at home when the game's tight.
Yep.
Or Bournemouth or Everton like the last game of the season. We need a player like Pedro to unlock the door, right? And
agreed.
Alanga's a good player, but we've already got them, right? We've got a couple of them. Gordon, Barnes, Murphy, similar players. Alanga's just quicker, right? And he's better footed, 2-footed.
I'll throw another name in for you who would fit that number 10 role. And you know who I'm going to say, Gula. Can you imagine? He's getting no time at Real Madrid whatsoever. That was
the Turkish kid.
Yes.
Yeah, I did read somewhere that Real were going to play him more this season.
Really? Where?
I've got no idea. He was my dream signing at the beginning. I wanted him before he went to Madrid, and we were linked with him. And I thought we should have made the move then.
He tried to. He picked Real Madrid, didn't he? That was the problem.
Yeah, but that's fine. That's fine. He's always going to pick Real Madrid. But it's like, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't hesitate one bit if Real Madrid want to give him to us for a loan for a year. I'll take it right now. I'll loan the kid and have him for a year. We'll benefit for a year. But Pedro is a no-brainer for me. The problem is we're trying to negotiate with the kings of negotiating.
Yeah. And
Brighton are superb at this. And I think personally, if they only want 60 million, that's quite cheap for Brighton, put it that way. Because the money they get, they got 64 for Cucurella.
They got a million for Casado.
Exactly. They're not idiots, right? Yeah. So they clearly want him out. We clearly want him. I did hear rumblings of Chelsea this morning. I'm still not sure if that's Brighton putting Chelsea in the name to get us to add a bit more to the price, or Chelsea are interested, because Chelsea are interested in bloody everybody.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't shock me if they are, but it wouldn't shock me if Brighton are playing a tactic as well. But
I think Brighton are putting it out in the news to try and force us to pay what they want, and
which
absolutely fine to do that.
Yeah, which is fine. It's like Newcastle are going to have to learn, right? They can't get every player in the Prem on the cheap.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. At some point, we're going to have to pay what the club want, and it's.
Well, but we also haven't figured out the contract loopholes that allow us to go for 8-9 years like Chelsea has.
That loophole's been closed, hasn't it?
Yeah, but yet they still are doing it. They're still getting players.
They haven't. So basically, they're still offering players 9-year contracts, but they're offering them less money because they're giving them the guarantee they're going to get that money over 9 years. But the monetization only works for 5 years. So if they offer a 9-year contract, it's only 5 years that's happened. So that loophole has been closed. It's just Chelsea are offering players contracts for life, basically, and it's guaranteed money for 9 years. So it's their way of running it.
The one thing I don't understand about Newcastle right now is I don't know why they are so hesitant just to go. And the reason is, because Watford have got a 20%. But I don't understand why Newcastle are so hesitant, right? And this is going to sound like really negative, but we've got so many assets that if the season doesn't go to plan, we can sell one of these next summer and have no PSR problems at all. So I don't know what they're scared of. I don't know what the issue is. Scared of, that's probably the wrong word. But it's like, when we negotiate, it's painful. It is absolutely painful. And it didn't used to be. like you said before, Amanda used to get, like, Amanda got stick because she spent £70 million put in a PSR £70 million thing, right? But if she hadn't did what she did, we wouldn't be going to Champions League right now. Eddie Howe wouldn't be manager.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like,
we wouldn't have stayed up if they hadn't spent all the money they spent. And they were quick off the bat, weren't they? They got
the one like that.
Yeah, they got Dan
Ramirez was signed in 2 days. They were just like rocket buying players. And I refuse to believe they haven't got money. I refuse to believe that they've sold 2 players in January. They haven't spent for 3 windows. They qualified for the Champions League again. They made hundreds of millions off TV, and that positioning alone gave them, in the league, it was something ridiculous, like £70 million.
The thing is, though, what Stefan said, which was very, very telling, was winning the Carabao Cup released a bonus to the players, but we don't know how much that bonus was and what the pool was. But winning the Carabao Cup only give you $2 million.
I know, it's ridiculous. It's like
ridiculous. So
it's
the Champions League money doesn't go until next year's accounts.
Yeah, that's why I don't understand why Newcastle are so slow, because you're right. We've got a player we can sell. We've got Champions League money next year. This is why Villa benefited, because they got it the year after. And
Villa have took a risk, and now they're sort of paying for it because they do need to sell because they're in a bit of a PSL battle.
They've got to sell one player. Now, if taking a risk means you've got to sell one player at the end of the summer, I'll take that risk. Honestly, I will take that risk. Go for it.
But Amanda would have.
About ambition.
We said about the start, isn't it? Amanda would take that risk.
Yeah, she would.
For short-term success and deal with it later on down the line, which is a shame.
And another thing, this is another reason why Isak will not leave this summer. I do not trust the current owners and staff to deal 100 and God knows how much money on players. They're struggling to sign them now. Never mind clubs taking full advantage when they see how much they've got after that. We need a director of football to sort that out.
Yeah.
And that's why next summer's a big one on that regard, because we need this director of football in ASAP so he gets settled in, because they are not prepared right now to deal with that type of money. Absolutely not. They're struggling now, never mind with that. Yeah. So I think, look, Pedro, just get the deal done, man. Yeah. It's who Eddie Howe wants. Just get him done. Just get it done. He wants right. Get on to the next one.
If Eddie went to Amanda and said, I want Pedro, she would have had it done by now.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and look at Mbeumo, right? Man United have bid a second time and it's been rejected. They're in the same boat, right? They're trying to jump too far ahead again, and they're not able to get a player. We've got a bit more leeway than they have, because we have literally got the Champions League. And we haven't spent for so long, we can actually do something. And I don't know how much money they've got to spend. I've got a fair idea in my head.
People are saying 150 million plus sales is what I've heard, which is a lot.
200.
Yeah.
Well, that was about what, but they're never going to put their finances out properly in they're just going to put like prices out and see what happens. They're never going to see it. Oh, we've got this to spend, because that's not how it works. But I don't know. It's just, but like you said,
Man United. Good point.
What, sorry?
Saying why would Mbeumo want to go to Man United? It's money.
Yeah, money. It's but I just, you know what it is? Eddie Howe must get so frustrated at times, mate, because he wants these players and just they never. Right now, the last 2 years, they've just been. I mean, look, I'm not saying I would buy these players, because I certainly wouldn't, but Burnley have got a few PSI issues apparently, and they've signed 3 players. I mean, come on, man.
That says to me that their Trafford is close, because they bought a keeper for 5 million. They bought another couple of players. That means they must be thinking Trafford's on his way out. Now, the problem with the Trafford deal, Dan, is that there's a sell-on clause to Man City.
Back to Man City. Yep.
Yeah, and they want us to pay that sell-on clause on top of the fee. And I just don't think we're going to do that. So, I mean, they want us to probably pay around about 40 million. I think we'll be willing to pay 30 million. But again,
I would go as far as 35. I would say 35 and pay the the sell-on clause and just get it done, if that's what you're going to do. But six keepers on the books is, and I know you can tell me, John Ruddy costs nothing. He doesn't even have a contract right now. You can tell me Mark Gillespie's training wages are being, like Gaz says, they're probably being paid by Phoenix. But we've still got the Greek, we've still got Dubravka, we've still got Pope, and you're on mute, mate. You muted when you
I
coughed.
was coughing. I thought I took it off.
Yep.
The kicker I've heard, obviously, I work with a lot of Leeds fans. They are very adamant that Nick Pope is going to Leeds if we sign Trafford. So I don't mind that. And then you keep Dubravka.
I don't either. Yep.
And I think one of the keepers has already gone, hasn't he?
John Ruddy's contract is up.
Yeah, he's gone. Gillespie will stay because he's only on like $5,000 a week or something like that, just to be like a goalkeeper.
I'll tell you what, mate. I don't know how he's still at this football club.
He's just there for practice. That's it.
I'll tell you what, didn't pay me $1,000 and I'll practice in goal for him.
Yeah, but you're not at this standard.
Yeah, he's not very good, honestly. I watched him playing that tournament, the Australia tournament. He was absolutely shocking.
He's got enough professionalism about him, I suppose, I guess, to do that. But he is literally there just for shooting practice.
Yeah. The issue I've got is James Trafford. That's probably the one position where they would sit and go, if this deal doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world, because they'll still sit there and go, we've got Nick Pope. Yeah. Now, Nick Pope can't kick a football, but he's still a good goalkeeper. And look, we can't go into next season with one right wing and one striker again. It's just something we can't do.
No, it can't. No, agreed.
No. The Trafford deal worries me a bit because I want him. And I keep hearing it's the most likely deal out of the whole lot, but I'm sitting in the back of my head thinking, are they going to pull the plug again? Because they're thinking we need to get more players in. We've got Nick Pope. That's what I'm thinking. And we've got Martin Dubravka.
To be honest with you, right, if it meant signing a right winger or a spare striker, I'd rather we pull the plug on Trafford.
Agreed.
Wait till Burnley get relegated again and get him a bit cheaper.
Yeah, well, I think the problem is, I think we've delayed it that many times. I think if Burnley go down, I think City buy. And I think we know that. Yeah, I do. Edison's away in a year. I think he's got one more year, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if City fans going about
save themselves a sell-on clause, buy their old player back.
We'll get them cheaper because of the sell-on clause, won't they?
Right.
Yeah. That's the idea of it.
I think Newcastle know if they want James Trafford, they've got to make the move now.
Yeah.
I think it has to happen this summer. It's not happening. And
all right.
So what do you do? It's
I mean,
it's just a position
as well. That for me. Right, I've been watching the under-21s, which I think has been a breath of fresh air compared to the England international team. And there's been one player who stands out, and I hate to fucking say it because he's at Liverpool, but Harvey Elliott. Now, if we're looking for a right winger and someone who cuts inside with his left foot like Eddie Howe likes, depending on how much he would cost, I mean, 40 million is what a lot of people have been saying. I'm all over that, as long as Isak's got nothing to do with the deal.
It's not happening in a million years, this deal.
But is Elliott going to get the game time at Liverpool? He's not, is he?
No, I think they'll sell him, but
it won't be.
They will just go, we want Isak and you can have Elliott. It's not going to happen. If Newcastle fund Liverpool, they're practically funding a big move. And as much as I would like Harvey Elliott, and I think you're right, he was absolutely class the other day for England. Yep. His second goal was absolutely superb.
I missed it. I had to go to bed. I was knackered.
But the reason why Elliott has played well is because who's playing behind him.
Yeah. I think it's not happening. I think he goes, but it'll not be here.
It won't. Yeah, it won't be to Newcastle. No, agreed.
Unfortunately, I think he's a great player. I think he would fit in perfectly. But one of those.
The other one that
if Isak was leaving, I think he's a Newcastle player because I think he's part of the deal. That's my personal opinion.
I think I've said this quite a few times now. Swap deals are dead in football now because it doesn't help PSR. So
But what you can do is buy and buy, can't you?
Yeah, that's what it would have to be done, and then you've got to hope it goes all through. Otherwise, you're left screwing yourself if one of the clubs then turns down and the other deal's been done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but then that means we spent 20 million on the Greek. Which again,
yeah,
pisses
that's what I
me
mean
off.
about how it's worked with the Anderson deal and
I
stuff
know.
like
Yep,
that.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
The other one.
No,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to quickly say it's like I think the urgency to get players in for Newcastle is quite high because I read something today. It's not the end of the world, this, right? But they reckon Matt Targett's going to start at left back at Celtic now because Tino and Lewis Hall can't play in that game.
They can't
So
play.
Matt Targett's the left back.
So why? Oh, because of the involvement in the Euro 2021s, and Hall is also not fully fit yet.
That got me thinking, bloody hell, if we get an injury or a couple of injuries, Matt Targett's for left back and into a Champions League.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing this one out. Kyle Walker-Peters, not the greatest player in the world. He's a free transfer. Go and get him. Go and get him. He's better than him at left back, right? Honestly.
I agree with that.
Yeah, but would you have to pay him $100,000 a week?
No idea, but he'd be more useful than that bloke at left back. Honestly, he would.
I heard Target was meant to be off to somewhere like Everton or somewhere like that, or Leeds as well. I think they were sniffing.
If they were interested in him, I hope they make the move.
Yeah,
I don't hold any ill will against the guy. I mean, he came in on loan, played very well on loan. He played very well that next season, and then he's been in the treatment room ever since.
Yeah. Merlin Roy, anyone ever heard of him?
Merlin Roll.
Yeah.
No.
Who, sorry?
Freiburg. Him there, Merlin Roy. R-O-H-I.
No, it's not an I.
Oh, is that an L? It's an L,
Yep.
sorry.
Merlin
Roll.
I've never seen this link, to be honest with you. I don't know.
The one that's got me intrigued right now is the Scalvini one.
Yes, the centre back.
That's the one that interests me. Is he a right-footed centre back? That's what I haven't heard in all the articles I've read about him. I hear he's a centre back, and the fact that he's Italian, gives Tonali, a brother in the squad, so to speak. Like our Brazilian boys. But I'm interested if he's what, 6'3", 6'4", so he's identically sized to Botman, but he looks skinny.
I'm sure he's right-footed.
Botman is a tank.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just
all the videos I've seen of him, he's played with his right foot, so I'm sure he is. But this Merlin Roll, 22 years old, 6'3", preferred both foot.
What position? Striker?
He's a midfielder, according to this.
Okay.
Plays defense, midfield, or attacking midfield. So that's an interesting one. I've never heard.
Who said this?
I don't know. It's in the chat.
Because apparently he's gone to Liverpool for 25 million.
Oh well, there we go then.
Merlin Roll.
About 2 hours ago. According to that, it says we are interested, but this was 2 days ago. But you know what, Newcastle are like interested FC, and then somebody else comes along and buys the player. But it got reported right here. You can. This is where the media play. It got reported in Germany 2 days ago, and then, funny enough, he's going to Liverpool. So let's make Newcastle interested in the player, so it makes the other club move. I don't know why they do this with us, because the last 2 years we've spent nothing. Yeah, but we never spend it. We never spend it.
No, but Gaz, we're the richest fucking club in the world.
Richest owners, not the richest club.
We shouldn't spend the bugger.
Richest owners,
yeah,
not the richest club. I have to keep pointing that out.
But that's why they do it, Gaz. That's why they do it.
No,
because
we
supposedly have the money, but with all the rules that have been put in place, we can't spend any of it.
Yeah.
So,
here's another name we mentioned a few times: Xavi Simons.
Oh yes,
I mean,
yes, please.
What about Bakayoko as well? Them two obviously abroad. Yeah. Will Eddie Howe want to go in that market? I don't know.
The lad in our
you've got a
group,
player.
the lad in our group, Xavi Simons, 1,000,000% yes. Absolutely, like, going, I'll book the plane now. Bakayoko, don't
Only
know a great
17
deal
million,
about him.
17 million for him,
Yeah,
which is
but
a risk, but it's very low risk.
he hasn't played the last 11 games. He's hardly featured. He's been on the bench. Now, there's a guy in our group who, I think he lives over there. He said that he's been disappointed.
Right. Is
And
that
he
Charles?
doesn't think,
Yeah.
he's not sure if he's ready or up for the Premier League. Now, if I was looking at it this way, if Arnie Slot's not interested in you when he spent most of his time over there, then I'm not sure. Because they have showed no interest in him at all.
Right.
So, but I could be wrong. It could be a name that he could turn out to be a star, but I'm always a bit sceptical when it comes to buying from the Dutch league. I know
Yeah, I mean, the
Xavi
Dutch
Simons originally come from there,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It's a bit of a risk for me.
You have to be a baller, don't you, to come from that
Yeah.
league, Premier League.
Xavi Simons is a no-brainer for me. It's hard to put a kid out and do it in the Champions League. Like, he's a goal scorer, he can assist. Yeah, he maybe needs to bulk up a bit to come into the Premier League, but he's quality. Absolute quality. I mean, he scored about 20 goals in the Dutch league or something. It was something ridiculous like that.
You think there's any truth? Any truth in looking at Kareem Adeyemi?
No,
I don't think so either.
No,
I agree. Because he's still at Dortmund, right?
Yes.
And playing well at Dortmund.
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't see it.
He mostly plays on the left, I think. So it's like, I'm not quite sure where the links come from.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think he's a good player, but he's full games based on pace. And you know what'll happen, don't you? We'll sign him and he'll put his hamstring.
Right. Yep.
So,
Right.
I don't know. I would take a punt on him, but I don't think we're interested now.
There we go. Young and
potential.
We're going to come to Leon soon, but not quite yet, because the next one is Kudus at West Ham. Obviously, we were fans of him before he went to West Ham. He started off like a house on fire at West Ham, and then he just faded away through the season.
That's because he was an asshole to the ball boy.
Yeah, that. But he's turned down a chance to go to Saudi Arabia, which again, I mean, we love our owners for what they've done to our football club, but I don't understand why young players would want to go to Saudi Arabia and kind of
guaranteed money. That's it.
Are you seeing what they're doing, though? Are you seeing what they're doing? Like Duran's doing it now. They're going for a year and then they're leaving and going back to Europe. Or they're coming back to the Premier League.
The thing is, though, their wages are only guaranteed tax-free if they stay there for 2 years.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
It's anyway. Sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah. The only one making bank on that is CR7.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he's made a lot. Oh, God, it's ridiculous amount of money he's made. And now he's got 30% stake in the club or something like that, which I thought was
40.
Yeah, he's 40. That's crazy. But Kudus, would you take him, Gaz, or not? I mean, I'm on the fence with him now after his second half of the season.
He wouldn't have been in my top 4 purely based on what West Ham fans told. Well, not me, but I've seen online saying that they thought he was a bit lazy at times. That's not going to work with Eddie Howe.
Yeah, Eddie Howe.
No, it's not going to work with him. His stats, I mean, you've got to bear in mind here that West Ham were really poor last season. But his stats are 32 matches, 5 goals, and 3 assists. Okay?
And he had all that at the start of the season, didn't he?
Yeah.
That was the thing.
But you compare them stats, to a guy who was at the football club with him, 34 matches, 13 goals, 8 assists, Jared Bowen.
Yeah,
so for me...
And they play the same position, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's a player they may look at, but I think you're looking at like probably about 5 of the players they're after not coming.
I mean, we're talking quite a bit of money as well, to be fair for him.
Yeah. I
Right.
cannot see that one.
Dan, this is what makes me sick. Chelsea and Man City have recorded 508.6 million, 435.8 million in profit player sales in over the last 5 years. And people wonder why those two clubs can spend money. It's right there in front of us. That is a hell of a lot of money in 5 years on player sales. And
Who
some of
was
them.
the other one apart from
Okay.
Chelsea? Sorry, guys.
Sorry, go on.
Who was the other one apart from Chelsea? Sorry.
Man City. So
Man City.
Chelsea have sold
but
508
again,
million. Man City have sold 435
that's
million.
because they went out and bought every player that was every promising player under the age of 22,
and sold
and
them.
then 2 years later sold them for 3 times, 4 times what they bought them for.
Exactly. That's how
So
to do
it goes back to what Gaz was saying about Paul Mitchell. If Paul Mitchell says, "Hey, here's a kid that's 12 million, 13 million who plays in Holland or plays in Belgium or plays in every exactly." Yeah, good point, Blake.
Yeah.
It, that's where Man City and Chelsea have made their money. I go back to that meme where Stevie G and Mo Salah are standing together, arm in arm, and everybody's like, "Imagine if these two were on the pitch at the same time." And then someone pops up at the end and says,
Yeah.
They were.
They were.
Salah was wearing a Chelsea jersey at the time, but he was. I'm just sitting there going, we don't have that vision. And if Paul Mitchell was supposed to be that visionary and he's fed up with the amount of time that it takes to get anything done, or Gaz, has he spent the last 6 months since the winter transfer window, being told, well, we can't spend as much as we want to. And that's what's frustrated Paul Mitchell, because he thought he had this war chest that he was going to be able to go out and get a whole shit ton of young players that we could then turn around and, diamonds in the rough, turn them into something and sell them on like a Chelsea, like a Man City, and start making the kind of money that they are. Or did Paul Mitchell come in, look around the club and say, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to do that here because the fans get too emotionally invested with their stars and don't want any of them to leave, and they would pitch a fit if we did. So you bring in a Bruno and then sell him off in 3 years. You bring in an Isak, you sell him off in 3 years. The Geordie public going, nah, I'm not having it. Maybe that's why Paul Mitchell was just like, you know what, I can't be successful here.
Possibly.
I think Paul Mitchell would have worked. Honestly, I do. I think it would have worked.
Well, if we had ever heard from him, he was always in the background.
But isn't that his
I'd
job
just
to be
heard
in the
from the man.
background, though? He's not meant to really be in the forefront. He was there to find the gems and then, put them into the under 16s, under 17s, under 18s, and then let.
We heard
them
more
develop.
from Darren Eales in 2.5 years than we did Paul Mitchell in 1.
But Darren Eales didn't really say much, or did he? When he said things, he was. I don't know. He was a crowd pleaser. He would say what we wanted to hear, but what was happening behind probably wasn't really happening.
Look, I know I talked about this at the start of the show, but there's been no communication from our football club since Amanda left. No,
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Agreed.
You get the odd interview from Eales who tells you,
we've got so many things on the
problem.
horizon. Yep.
Yeah. And then the next interview, he tells you we've got no PSR issues. We'll be mad to sell Isak. I feel, look, Eales is a funny one because obviously he's not well. So you've got to take that into consideration. Peter Silverson, I've got no words. Honestly, I haven't. Look, he could have done loads for this football club. I've got no idea. But I can only go off what I see, and I see sort of.
Yeah.
Look, people aren't going to like this, but I think since Dan Ashworth left as well, I don't think it's been as well
I
run.
think Dan Ashworth did a lot more than what people actually realise, to be honest with you. But
he
was a dick and wanted to go Man United, wasn't he? But again, he wasn't getting the control. He must be doing something right. Yeah, the academy is doing probably better but again, we want the first 11 to improve, and that's where we're seeing.
I think Mitchell wanted to buy players, but I think the problem was Eddie Howe wants different players. Mitchell wants these type of players. Them two clashed, and the owners are sticking by Eddie Howe, which I mean, you've got to agree with that because Eddie's done wonders at this football club. But
Yeah.
it's like Martin said the other day, the Man City fan, he thinks Eddie Howe's got too much power.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, from the outside, a lot of people think Eddie Howe's got too much power. Now, there was rumours that Eddie Howe didn't want Mitchell to go now. That's why Mitchell's still here. So it's weird. It's bizarre. I heard that about 4 days ago, and I read it, and it's a bizarre situation. The one thing that's got to happen, Newcastle have got to get a director of football in as soon as possible. Forget these interviews. Get the guy in. Anyway.
Right. Let's not go around in circles. Let's try and stick to transfer stuff. Luke Edwards says that Gia apparently is still on the wanted list. I would be surprised because I think he's going to Liverpool.
It's not happening. I think that's it. I can't see Mark Gahey coming to this for. I could a few weeks ago, but I can't now. There's too much noise about Liverpool. I know there's noise about Isak, but do you know what it is? Mark Gahey has already come out and says I might stay at Palace because he knows in a year's time he'll be a free. He could go anywhere. And I think we missed our chance with him a year ago.
Yeah, I agree.
Personal opinion. But
Lille goalkeeper Lucas Chelevet, 23. Apparently he's also we've been looking at, according to Luke.
Yeah, I think that's just a name that's coming. I think all the journalists are reporting that one. It's getting bounced around like a tennis ball. I don't think there's anything in it at all. I think Trafford's the one. Yeah. If Trafford doesn't come, there'll be no goalkeeper coming to this football club. They're not going to waste their money with Nick Pope being there. So I just think it's another link, and I can't see it.
So
what about the?
Go on.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Keith Downey.
I think you're
3 days ago, Newcastle exploring options for Nottingham Forest, Alanga, Bakayoko, Kirim, Kudus. They haven't given up on signing Alanga and considering whether to make a second bid, but have a number of targets they are looking at. So obviously we mentioned all those players, but it's all the same players churning out all the time.
What about the 18-year-old Korean kid?
So he is someone we'll be buying and loaning out, I think. I forgot his name. Something
like Federo.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I personally think it's a billboard signing. So we had that conversation. It was a good little show for half an hour. I was a bit surprised it went on that long. But it was good to hear about what the player was like. He does sound like an Eddie Howe kind of player, but I think he is literally a future signing. 3 years down the line, is he going to be good enough? But we won't know till we get our hands on him. But I think they'll loan him straight out. He's not a first team signing straight away. But
and he's a center back or a midfielder?
No, he's left winger.
Left winger.
Yeah. Another winger.
Do you know what it is? I know I'm jumping on to somebody else here. I'd like to see them send this kid to Singapore, this Spanish lad. I wouldn't send him out alone. I'd have a look at him. I think he's worth around the club. Yeah, 100%. I've seen enough to tell me that maybe he could do a job here next season. Went for a long, hard season, and
and we need all the bodies we can get.
Yeah, I agree. He's a right winger as well. I would definitely keep a hold of. Well, have a look at him anyway. And take him to Singapore, definitely.
Right. Well, according to Chris Ward, loan ideally to top 5 European league, model to be replicated going forward, 60 senior games, but not yet one first team ready. He's an attacking talent, but there's a 24-month plan for his development in place. So it's interesting. I didn't watch the game, but I've heard very good things. The other player we're talking about was Kim Park-soo. Try to pronounce the name like that. But apparently the league he's playing in, the KL2, is very like League Two. So there's lots of leaps and bounds. And I still think that's a very good money-making one, to be honest with you.
Well, it'll be nice to announce it while we're there.
I think that's the idea.
Yeah.
Try and sell a lot of shirts, try and get money in that way. Luke Edwards did also say that there's Sclavani. We are very interested in him, and it's one to watch. But again, I don't know.
Same name. Just
Same
another
name.
same name getting branded about. It's
Yeah.
I've got a feeling, as much as I think there's Sclavini, isn't it? As much as I think he might turn out to be a very good footballer, I've got a feeling he's a smokescreen.
We've used that word quite a lot, haven't we?
Yeah, I think.
Getting bored.
Do you know what it is? Either Newcastle have become a very, very good football club at getting the media to think otherwise because they've done it in the past with Barella and then Tonali signs 3 days later. Or they're just playing every player out in the media, which I don't understand at all. I think that's poor. If all of them are our main targets, Newcastle are far too much in the media for my liking.
The problem is, it might not be Newcastle playing on the media; it's the selling club that
it could be. It could be. It's but they're all. I just feel like everything I read from Newcastle in the minute is just copy paste.
Yeah, it is.
Sclavini, Trafford's close, and I've heard Trafford's close. Him up the road has, the reporters have.
Trafford has agreed personal terms. It's just the two clubs can't agree a fee.
That's remarkable. I don't understand this. The player and the club have agreed personal terms, but the clubs can't. What? And remember, you couldn't speak to a player until you agreed with the club first. It's weird now. It's but I think what's happened is I think they've signed a goalkeeper. Trafford's agreed to it, and all of a sudden Newcastle can't agree a fee with Burnley. Now all of a sudden you're in limbo because they've got a goalkeeper, and we're struggling to. But you know what is? There's a lot of sell-on. Newcastle are going to have to get used to this because at PSR there's a lot of sell-on clauses now we've noticed in players' contracts. So they're going to have to get used to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, Leon, obviously getting relegated due to financial problems, which I think is stupid because you're just putting them in even more financial problems by relegating them. Is there any players in that team that you would take, Dan? Have you had a look at Leon's situation?
I'm going to be honest and say I haven't looked.
I haven't either personally, but Gary, is there any players that you think will fit our system from Leon?
The only one that springs to mind for me is Malik Fofana. Malik Fofana is the only one that, well, you are talking about, I think he's a young lad, to be honest, but I think he's a winger at the top of my head, and I think he got about 4 or 5 goals last season, a couple of assists, something like that. Right. I think he's a raw talent, but he's possibly somebody they could look at, but I don't think he's fully Premiership ready. That makes sense. But I've seen no reason why he can't come in as I would put him in the Asula brand, right? Like I think he's better than Asula was when we bought him, but I think if he came in now, I'm not sure. I think Asula's more ready for the Prem right now than he would be. I could be talking rubbish because I don't know loads about him, but everybody else, Cherky was obviously the one I would have gone for, but he's gone. So I'm sure there's some other diamonds in there, but not that I know of on the top of my head. Anyway. There's the striker from Georgia. I can't remember. I'm not even going to pronounce his name. It begins with M. Mitsitasi or something. I can't remember. I'm sure he plays for Lyon. What's he called? He's a striker. I know that. He scored a few goals, but trying to find his name on here. George, I'm not even going to pronounce it. George's Matt. People don't know who I'm on about, but I'm not even going to try it.
I love it.
He might be somebody who could come in and be the second striker. But
interesting. Well, you've set me up nicely because you mentioned his name, Asula. Dan, could Asula save us a lot of money or not?
He could. He's still at the club for obvious reasons. We're not looking to loan him out.
Get a
You
good under
know,
21.
Eddie keeps bringing him. Eddie kept bringing him out. You know, sadly, you know, after he brought Callum Wilson in. Um, uh, and yeah, he had a cracking appearance or performances at the under 21 tournament for Denmark.
It's a shame
So
because I watched him, and the only game I watched him in was against Holland, and he wasn't very good. Was it Holland? Was the one they got knocked out of?
Can't remember. I didn't see it. I've only watched a few games in that tournament. I personally haven't seen Sula's games, the good ones either.
Boy, he scored, what was it, 3 and assisted 2?
Yeah,
in the tournament?
something like that. Yeah.
in the tournament, yep, that's not a bad return.
It's a very good return. I mean, I've been very critical of him. I've always said I don't think he's good enough, but he's only under 21 level, but it's still been a good level. Because, I mean, you look at the England performances, you look at Spain have been brilliant, France have been excellent as well. I mean, it's a risk, but would you like to see Asula given the chance on the right wing with Murphy and going into the season with them two?
I've built this kid up since minute. I think there's something there, and when I was very impressed at Birmingham. I know he missed that absolute ridiculous chance, but
yeah,
I think I'm seeing something. The header he scored, the finish in the cup. There's something.
Mm-hmm.
There's something with this kid. He's got something, and
he's a bit of a live wire.
You know what it is? You know what it is? He's a pain in the arse when he comes on the pitch, and this is why I was getting frustrated when Wilson was coming on, because Wilson was doing sod all for 10 games. Literally come up. We might as well have had one of those mannequins on the pitch. It was absolutely pointless. Whereas Asula, I think, as much as he was still raw, I think he was going to do more. I think he was going to run around more. And I think this tournament, obviously, you've got to look and go the tournament, but we're building Harvey Elliott up, and it's like I always thought he might go out on loan, but I don't think Eddie's going to send him on loan. Now, that tells me enough to tell me that Eddie Howe rates him to keep him around the club.
100%.
And I think he's more of a winger. Every time I watch him, I see more of a winger than a striker.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Would you like to go into the season with Murphy and Asula as your right wing options?
No, we need a right wing. Need a right wing.
Answers that question very quickly.
No, we need it. We haven't bought a right winger since the owners took over. They need to go out and get a sudden right wing. But
you're bigging them up so much.
No, I am. But you're still talking about a raw talent here, and Newcastle need a ready-made winger for Champions League and Premier League. And
I get that.
Murphy's had coming off the back of a great season, but I'm not expecting it to be like that next season. And Asula's still raw. And he's going to give you good games. He's going to give you not so games. We need a consistent performer.
Yep.
And we've got them on the left. Gordon's out, Barnes comes in, vice versa. We've got that. We need that on the right.
Fair play. Dan?
100%. You know, I truly believe that there's something in Asula that he believes he's got the talent to do what he needs to do. Eddie Howe has obviously seen something. You see something on the training pitch that none of us get to see that says, look, this kid is still clay, and I can mold him, you know, which I think serves us well. And I agree with Gary, you know, we're not sending him out on loan, so he's obviously going to stick around for a bit. We didn't do that with Minta, and we never got to see him. We're doing that with Garang Cole, you know, you know, and he's didn't he just score in a tournament somewhere over the summer as well?
Not sure.
I don't know. Anyway,
he scored a banger for Australia, didn't he? He scored one from like 40 yards or something, didn't he?
Right. So, you know, I agree with Gary. We need some ready-made talent, which is why we were going after the likes of Mbeumo, after Alanga. It's why we're going after João Pedro. It's why we're looking at James Trafford. We're looking at these established players that have proven themselves capable of playing not only in the Premier League but in English football altogether. You know,
Do you know what? I mean, you might disagree with this. You know, if PSR wasn't a thing, I think Newcastle make a huge bid for Jared Bowen. I think that's who Eddie Howe
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
I think
doubt it.
we could take more risks on older players because we knew we'll be able to buy ourselves younger players as well at the same time. So yeah, completely agree.
I think he's Eddie Howe's dream signing for the rest. It's never happening, but that's who his dream signing would be.
He was mine as well.
Thanks, Steve Bruce.
Yeah, exactly.
So can we talk about the flip side? Because we've been talking about all these players that we're interested in getting. What about the players that are supposedly maybe leaving?
Well, there's not many, is there? Really?
If Matt Targett could go, if Nick Pope could go, if Sean Longstaff could go,
yeah, you're talking. I mean, if you're lucky, 40 million for the three of them.
If Leeds is interested in truly interested in Matt Targett, how much are they going to pay for him? 10, 15
million.
Do you know what it is?
We won't give him away. We'll sell him for
his wages are a problem. That's the thing. He's on like someone says $100,000 a week. I always think that seems a bit too much, but apparently he is.
I would get rid of him for as little as you possibly can. I would just get him off get his wages off the books and get him out. Honestly, it's just sometimes you've got to cut your losses, and he's one of them. Just get him out.
Yeah.
Willock. I think Willock's probably the one who could fetch the more.
Yeah, 25,
possibly.
I think. Fulham or Palace.
I think, do you know what it is? I was thinking about Sean Longstaff the other day, and as much as I think he's done, I don't think he's good enough for us. We should be able to get a decent fee for Longstaff. You're talking about a lad who's played Premiership football for about 5 to 6, 7 years now. He's got Champions
League football. Yep.
And I keep hearing 10 million branded. Look, I think we can get more for him. I still think he could do a job at like Everton, Leeds. I don't see any reason. I mean, look, Calvin Phillips went to Ipswich for whatever he did. I think Longstaff right now is better than him when he went. So it's...
Agreed.
I would say 20 million max for Longstaff.
If we get 20 million, I will do cartwheels, but I keep saying 10 million, and that's too low for me. I think we can get more than that. I think he's better than that. As much as I don't think he's good enough for us now, I think he's better than 10 million.
Yeah, the homegrown stuff, it's all you got to do is just lose that place in the squad. So it doesn't really matter that much.
The one I keep hearing name branded around and worries me is Lewis Miley. I'm not going to lie.
Yes, we can't lose him. And I don't.
But I've just got a feeling they might. I know Eddie Howe won't allow it, but I've just.
He would rather
they'll sell him, not get rid of a stock.
No, but you can see that Eddie would rather have him than Longstaff because he's been thrown
100%.
Stuff. So,
but I think Miley's going to fetch you a lot more money than anybody else.
Yeah, I agree with that. Right. Before, I'm just going to quickly go through the advertisement. I've got a little bit of news that was put in our group today, and I'm going to tell you all about it. So, Diacro, amazing. Baz 20 for 20% off. Link is in the description. Please buy some of their stuff because they're absolutely amazing. And I will do a gift card giveaway very soon for their site. The Geordieland Experience, if you want to get yourself, on a tour in the Northeast because you're not from the Northeast, get in touch with these guys because they've got great stuff. We've got our charity football game on the 3rd of August. Peter Beardsley is playing on my team. Can you believe it? This is the running of the day. So get down early. It's free entry, but we've got buckets, raffles, free face painting for kids. We've got a free soft play area for kids as well. There's so much to do. We have a raffle at the moment. These are all the prizes we won. It's £1 a number. Just please get in touch with myself and you can pick any number you want. And thank you to Henderson's Taxis for sponsoring the day. I did have a picture of all the prizes.
Any number you want as long as it's available.
Yeah, as long as it's available. Because
you have ticket numbers from 1 to 5,000, and you got a whole bunch of them have already been taken. So
yeah, we've done quite well today. It says a lot about our club at the minute. We've seen more backrooms. Yeah, exactly. We've seen more CEOs than we have of that would right. But this is the news that was put in our group. Guys, you know about it. Dan, you might not have seen it. But someone just got off the phone. I'm not going to say who it is because you'll start hounding them. Pedro is close to being a done deal.
Okay.
Then he also said Trafford was up here this week. So looking at houses.
Probably looking for houses. Yep.
Now, if you go on to Sky Bet, I think it's Sky Bet or William Hill or one of the two, Pedro is now 1-2 to sign for Newcastle.
Okay.
So that's 1-2 odds on. So that means you put £1 on, you'll get a 50p profit if he does sign for Newcastle. Chelsea are out to 11-4. So the odds, the bookies are very rarely wrong. So to me, the information that this person has got is adding up, and we do think the Pedro deal is very close. But again, nothing's going to happen till the 1st of July because that's when the new PSR starts. And the reason why, it's not because of the buying clubs, it's the selling clubs. If they sell a player right now, even though there's only, 30 days in this month? Yeah. There's only 3 days left until the opening of the window. If they sell a player right now, that PSR amount for the selling player goes on this year's, not next year's.
Yeah. That if you're going to see a deal in the next 3 days from Newcastle, it's going to be a club with PSR issues.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to see.
And it's going to be either selling one but again, I don't think we're going to sell one until the 1st of July. So we get the full extent of that value for the year going forward. So this is the reason why the transfer window has been very slow. And this is the reason why not a lot of clubs have been buying players. It's only the clubs, like Gary said, who have had a bit of bother or who are happy to let the player go. So
the one thing I will say is I would definitely keep an eye out at Aston Villa the next couple of days.
Yeah.
Now this is not just me jumping on anything. I've been reading Villa fans and they are literally talking about who they think will leave. They are adamant that players leaving. So, and our name's been mentioned as a possible destination for one of the players. So
doesn't surprise me. Ramsey, isn't it? Well, apparently
I've heard Ramsey mentioned, right?
Mm.
But there's a lot of noise going around. Chelsea again. There's a lot of noise going around that it might be Morgan Rogers. Now Villa,
he would be a player.
Yeah, Villa don't want to lose Rogers. Now, if that means them selling Jacob Ramsey, who's somebody who's came from that system, they are going to do it. Now, they know Newcastle are interested in Jacob Ramsey. So I wouldn't be surprised if Villa ring Newcastle in the next couple of days about possibly Jacob Ramsey. That would not shock me. It's whether Newcastle will go, yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah.
They might not, no idea. But
interesting.
I don't think Villa want to lose Rogers personally, but I think it's similar to Gordon Morse last year.
Yeah.
It's something that they're considering, but they don't want to do.
Yeah. I think they should take the points deduction personally. Right. Anyway, I hope you've all enjoyed the show. It's gone on a little bit longer than expected. I'm sorry it was a little bit later today. I had things to get my back sorted out. Hope you've all enjoyed it. Thank you to the two guests as always, Dan and Gaz. And we will be back on Tuesday night for a fans forum, which I had to cancel last night because I couldn't do it.
Good luck to Tino tomorrow night as well.
Yes, good luck to Tino. I'll be watching the game tomorrow. Come on, England. Why not? I'm glad he's all enjoyed it. I know there's not a lot of, inside information these days, and I like that. But there was a little bit there about Pedro and about Trafford, according to the source we've got, to say that they are almost done.
Let's see what Monday ending and Tuesday dawning brings us next week.
Yeah. Just any day ending in day. But anyway, thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you again soon.
Night all.